Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Journey. Today we're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlende. We're on DTT because we're free to on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Office of the National Chief Imam welcomes proposal by the Seventh-day Adventist Church for a change in the December 7th day for general elections, which falls on Saturday the Sabbath, a day dedicated to the worship of God according to the teachings of the church. More as the Islamic faith in Ghana raises concern, voting on significant religious days could potentially affect practicing Muslims in the future. Also this afternoon,
in fact, you cannot sacrifice the prayer in order that you go and cast your vote. Because for us, it's a law in Islam.
Momo fraud persists, with many people losing their money to cyber fraudsters even if after linking their SIM cards to the Ghana card, a measure touted to fight the menace. How do we win this war? We'll hear from experts. And economists predict tough times for whoever wins the 2024 elections. More from the experts who want a sustainable fiscal policy to tighten the system. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces via Joy News on TV. My personal handle is @Benana Aisha. Please do stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. The Office of the National Chief Imam has welcomed a proposal by the Seventh-day Adventist Church for a review of the December 7th date for the general elections. The SDA says many of their church members could be disenfranchised because the election date coincides with Saturday, the Sabbath, dedicated to the worship of God. Additionally, the church is making calls for legislations that will ensure that no election in Ghana henceforth will take place on a day of religious significance. Director for Public Affairs and Religious Liberty for the church, Dr. Solis Asafo, tells my colleague Blessed Sogan that aside a petition to the Electoral Commission, the National Chief Imam has also been engaged on the matter.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. These words of the Holy Bible for any Christian must be and should be kept sacred. But for the Seventh-day Adventist Church Ghana, their faith is about being tested like never before. Similar to 1996, the presidential and parliamentary elections this year falls on Saturday, December 7. According to the teachings of the church, it will be Sabbath, a day fully dedicated to the worship of God. At the Southern Ghana Union Conference here in Accra, I met Dr. Solis Asafo, Director of Public Affairs and Religious Liberty. She explains to me how the democratic gains of the country will be derailed if provisions are not made to cater for members of this church.
Voting is a civic responsibility. Honoring the Sabbath is a godly responsibility. That's how we see it. As enshrined in the 10 Commandments, he says you have 6 days to do all your work, but you have to rest on the Sabbath day. And you know, sometimes people don't understand, but in that commandment, it says that the Sabbath day is the Sabbath of thy Lord. If it were mine, I would decide on what to do with it. But it's God's, and he says on this day, don't do this or do this. So that's where the conflict comes up. And that's why we think that if there's anything that can be done to change the date, it will help our members.
And now we know that you've sent your petition to the Electoral Commission detailing your concerns and what it is, the challenges you have about December 7th and the need to either move the date to November or try and get a date that will not be a Saturday. Have you taken any other step to raise your concerns to the state and to put across your demands?
In June 2021, we actually had an appearance with the President of the Republic and placed before him our concerns. We followed that up subsequently by writing to the Electoral Commission in February last year indicating or making a proposal for a change. What we were proposing was not for a date change, but we were proposing a day. So we proposed in our submission to the EC the first Tuesday, or a Tuesday in November or December.
Announcing their position on the matter, spokesperson of the National Chief Imam says the Muslim community welcomes the suggestion of the SDA Church. Has also been pointing out peculiar challenges Muslims may face if elections were held on Friday or on religious significant days, a special day of worship in the Islamic faith.
No, for us Islam, yes, Friday is an important day. It's an important day. But it is not a holiday for us. But at a time of prayer, it is prohibited for the Muslim, the true Muslim, to engage in any mundane activity where he sacrifices the worship of God within the time that prayer is in session. The Holy Quran makes it very, very, very clear that whenever the call to pray is made on Friday, he said that stop any other worldly activity and hasten to the remembrance of God. So that is a positive injunction. So it's an injunction for us here within that period. In fact, you cannot sacrifice the prayer in order that you go and cast your vote. Because for us, it's a law in Islam. But the whole day, it is not considered a holiday in such a way that you cannot engage in any activity, because after the prayer, we are permitted to go ahead with our mundane activity. So our challenge is just at the time of our prayer, no Muslim will sacrifice the Friday prayer in order to go and cast, because it is seen as a mundane activity. But I will say so in order that we respect the days that are held sacred by the different religions, so that democracy is about participation, and everybody must have the opportunity to be able to cast his vote in a very peaceful and fair environment, without feeling intimidated, without feeling isolated, without feeling constrained or restrained by any circumstance. So for us, if we succeed in really getting a compromise day in which nobody's religious practice is compromised or nobody's religious right, is undermined, I think that it will go a long way to also continue to unify us as a nation, because our unity centers around our mutual recognition, solidarity, cooperation, mutual respect, and these are the very, very ingredients that hold us together as a nation.
Meanwhile, Parliament says it is awaiting legal advice from the Attorney General on the matter. Whole West MP and Member of Parliament's Christian Fellowship, Emmanuel Bedzrah, argues with a membership of 395,000, the concern of the group should not be taken lightly.
My brothers from the Seventh-day Adventists, the whole country needs to listen to them, and then the whole country will have to take decision. If you look at the numbers that you just called, the 395,000 membership, it clearly shows that they have at least or close to about 1% of Ghana's population. And so it's worth listening to them and also look at the merit in what they've said. Having said that, Evans, the date has been set as per our constitution and as per the instrument brought by Electoral Commission. Our laws or the constitution in Article 63 says that the election should be held if there's a president and the person is rerunning. It should be held a month before the handing over, or it should be held, it should not be held after 4 months. That means that between October to December, you can hold election so that handing over can be done in January 7. And so the date for 7 January has been cast in stone, is set in our constitution. Now, it is the date that we can vary. That's why during the Constitutional Review Committee, they came up with a date that we should have enough time for people for when we are going through our transition. There should be enough time for transition period. That's why the Constitutional Review Committee came out with the 7th November. Now, the issue is not about the date of election, but the day. If I get you right, it's a day, Saturday of election. Now, if 7th of November is also, as my brothers from the 7th Adventists are saying, if the 7th November is also a Saturday, does that mean that we have to shift it to another day? We should look at all these things carefully before we decide. So it has both religious undertone and also we must also respect the Constitution of Ghana. The Constitution has not yet been reviewed. They said they are bringing an amendment, or they propose an amendment to the Attorney General's department. We are waiting for if the Attorney General will listen to them and bring it to us, then we'll look at it whether there is a merit in taking the amendment at all.
Government's efforts to combat the rising tide of mobile money fraud requiring users to compulsorily link their SIM cards to their Ghana cards was hailed as a move to curb fraudulent activities that had become a growing concern in the mobile money sector. It was expected that tying each SIM card to a verified identity could thwart fraudulent activities, protect users, and maintain the integrity of financial transactions. In the following feature, Michael Oshale reports that the Momo fraudsters continue to prey on the unsuspecting public.
Mobile money fraud has now become so pervasive. The motive is varied, but the bottom line is to get money from you. These deceptive schemes often commence with a seemingly ordinary text message characterized by glaring grammatical errors. Spelling errors and poor construction in fraudulent messages might just be a deliberate strategy employed by cyber criminals.
When you see the bad spelling, it is not as if they can't spell.
Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, suggests that the use of poor grammatical constructions by the fraudsters is just an attempt to circumvent their new artificial intelligence-enabled system.
The confirm, maybe the R that is there, they will make it an S. They will change a few of the things in there so that once the AI is crawling it, he sees it's not what it is that he's looking for. So, but fortunately for us now, we're beginning to use AIs. So what the AIs do is that once they see all of this, they learn. So they start seeing the spelling mistakes that you want to beat them.
Other times, these fraudsters will call you with promises to lure you to send them money.
Oh, Blaunia Bani, London, and Bloche.
London also.
Oh, but and your man, and I say, and then your man,
Ohene Anoche was almost scammed weeks ago. He now knows the plot of these fraudsters very well.
No, they will just call you like normal call, and then he will say hello. So he will not even ask your name first. No, he will just say, it is me, your auntie, who is in London. And then personally, I don't have any auntie in London. So I just said, which of my aunties in London? He said, oh, have you forgotten? Then you mentioned some name. So I just said, no, I don't have any auntie in London. So.
As unsuspecting individuals continue to fall victims to various schemes, the tactics employed by these fraudsters continue to evolve.
Someone will just call you and be like, when will I receive the money? Please, I've sent you this money. Can you confirm? And several calls of that, several calls.
They were asking me, when am I paying my debt? So I asked, with debt? And then he said the debt I was owing him. The way the person responded again and spoke with me again, I realized it was one of these fraudsters.
Like I deposit 1,000 cedis into my account, and the person was calling me, I sent 250,000 cedis into my account.
So they have sent 250,000 cedis to your account?
To my account.
What becomes of the role of the Ghana card, and how can users stay safe as far as the threat of cyber fraud is concerned? Team lead at iSolve Africa, Henry Kwabla, has the answers.
have a dedicated call center where some of these fraudulent activities are sort of reported in real time and in the quickest of time, and some level of actions are taken in that time frame. Having that dedicated, connection or call center to give the citizen some level of assurance that they could always call is the very first process of cleaning the system, because they know. And it's actually placed out there. There's a lot of education on it that gives people to understand that if you're frauded, the next number that you're calling is as if you're calling a fire service or otherwise, because financial fraud is becoming a bit of challenge. Mobile money is becoming one of the most used transactional points in Ghana. So we should sort of treat it as a major header. This is not really just to the telecos. There are quite a lot of fraudulent activities that are coming onto the banking systems, ATM systems, card systems, quite a lot of them. And so when we're having dedicated centers, which is dedicated to telecom fraud or mobile money fraud, I think that becomes a bit of good ones. Number two, I think that some level of publications in terms of the people that are into this fraud could actually also raise some level of alarm, because when we're seeing people's faces to this crime and there's some level of effort in arresting them and prosecuting them in that fast track manner, I think that it helps in sanitizing the process.
Are predicting tough times for whoever wins the 2024 elections. It follows a successful restructuring by Ghana's external creditors and a scheduled IMF Executive Board's meeting on Friday to consider the first review of $3 billion $3 billion rescue loan program. Economist and political risk analyst Dr. Tui Champon, who made the prediction on PM Express last night, said Ghana's current status will put a lot of pressure on whoever wins the presidential elections in December.
In an election that is going to be, in my view, one of the most competitive and closely fought, right? So then the argument now begins to go into where are the channels or the pockets that we will see some of these savings and some of these quote-unquote spending happening. And one of the things that I think we need to check very, very carefully is through the state-owned enterprises, because those off-balance sheet things, believe you me, when we come 2025 with whatever government that is there and whatever review under the IMF program, you will see a number of state-owned enterprises that have been, caught in that web. And that also then means, means that those targets that we have under the IMF program is meant to end 2026. I suspect the program will go into 2027, 2028.
Okay, and which means that your proposal, your suggestion is we're possibly going to miss our targets and create a much bigger challenge for whoever wins 2024. For 2025 going forward to manage.
Yes, on the expenditure side of things, you will see on growth, inflation, those things, the numbers are beginning to moderate. But you won't see it improving livelihoods overnight.
Okay.
But you've got a major, issue coming down where basically you've kicked the can down the line. The government that comes in will have to pick up the men.
Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bokmin, corroborating this position, explained there has always been unexplained expenditures and mismanagement of the economy during election years, adding the IMF program is likely to extend as a result of this. He says there's an urgent need for a sustainable fiscal policy to guide such activities, especially during election years. He also spoke on PM Express.
Yeah, I agree totally with Dr. Tui Champon. From last year when the program was approved and we analyzed it, our conclusion was that this program was designed with the extension in mind. Keep that in mind.
But are we meeting our first 3 years targets? Considering election year.
There's real risk that the 2024 may derail the program outcome, and probably to bring it back on track, there's a possibility of an extension. Bear that in mind,
Okay.
We'll see the reality of this in the last quarter of this year. The election really is gathering momentum, and I'm sure Honorable will be coming down very soon and all of that, right? But watch the space. The last 4 months of almost all the competitive election years, nobody manages anything in this country. Ask them.
The Supreme Court is set to deliver its judgment on the legality relating to celebrities endorsing alcoholic beverages. The Food and Drugs Authority in 2015 banned celebrities from participating in alcoholic beverage advertisements, citing concerns about protecting minors from alcohol-related influences. But the plaintiff, Magdalene Osai, contends the guidelines by the FDA unfairly targets the creative arts industry, depriving them of a significant income stream. Judge Quak speaks on behalf of the celebrities, and here is what he had to say.
Judgment does not win has gone our way, so we are just being hopeful that at least they would hear us, because this is an industry that doesn't just thrive on the works that we put out there. There's some of these collaborations with corporate institutions, some of these endorsement deals are the things that keep us moving. And you see, it is not like when the money comes into the space, celebrities or artists keep it to themselves. They reinvest it into the industry by employing other people and investing in other initiatives. At the end of the day, it inures to the benefit of Ghana as a country. So we're hopeful, and we pray that it goes in our favor. It's not like anybody wants to banter with the FDA or fight with them in a way. Everybody wants an amicable solution where it will be a win-win so that everybody can go about their business. The celebrities are not, because they have kids, they have families. Naturally, they would not want to endorse products that would go and affect their kids negatively. So they are willing to be responsible, and just as things are done and done responsibly, they are also willing to do this and do it responsibly. So we are hopeful for something in our favor, or let me say in their favor. And at the end of the day, we can all sit with the FDA, Jojo, and find a way that even if celebrities endorse alcoholic products, it will still go in a way that children will be protected, or those celebrities will still be taxed to find ways to speak to children against alcoholism. So yeah, thank you so much. We're helpful.
My colleague Richard Kwejonyaku was in court for us and joins us with more. Kwejonyaku, what more do we know about this case?
Also, Aisha, the plaintiff is before the Supreme Court, challenging the FDA's prohibition outlined in its guidelines for the advertisement of alcoholic beverages by the
as part of effort.
The ban was instituted in 2015. According to the FDA, children believe what celebrities put out and anything they are associated with. And so the plaintiff says the stance of the FDA violates constitutional positions, specifically outlined in Articles 17.1 and 17.2 of the 1992 Constitution. And these articles, the plaintiff says, safeguard equality before the law and prohibit discrimination based on social or economic status and occupation, among others. So Mr. Osai, the plaintiff says, so the ban of the FDA be allowed to say it would significantly affect the creative arts industry. And so the plaintiff avers that the FDA's position is unconstitutional and the court should strike them down. And so the court has listened to the submissions of the parties, i.e. Magdalene Osai for the plaintiff and the FDA and the Attorney General being the defendants, and has set April 10th for the judgment. And so this is what has been happening at the Apex Court.
With that update from court, definitely we are monitoring this case. Definitely we'll bring you more as and when we get. Now, as part of efforts to eradicate malaria in Ghana, government has launched a national malaria elimination strategic plan. The plan, among other things, aims at reducing malaria mortality by 90% by 2028 and reducing malaria incidence by 50%. Launching the strategic plan, Minister for Health Quak expressed his optimism that Ghana has the capacity to eradicate the disease, considering the success of the National Malaria Control Program. My colleague Kwesi Adai has more.
The Malaria Elimination Plan is an ambitious strategic plan aimed at achieving zero malaria in Ghana by 2028. The strategy is inspired by the success stories of other African countries like Algeria and Cape Verde in eliminating malaria. Minister for Health Quak says the new eradication strategy will replace the current National Malaria Control Program.
Malaria has remained a priority disease under the government's policies and initiatives and has traveled several progressive milestones to ensure high coverage of evidence-based interventions to combat malaria through the National Malaria Control Program and now the National Malaria Elimination Program.
Program Manager for the National Malaria Elimination Program, Dr. Kezia Mam, revealed the specific targets the strategy seeks to achieve.
The first goal is to reduce malaria mortality by 90% by 2028. And this goal is to take us to near zero by 2028. So I'm hopeful that by 2028, whoever will be looking at the strategic plan at that time will now be saying that nobody is dying from malaria. We also want to work to make sure that by 2028, the numbers that we are seeing in our health facilities are reduced by 50%.
On his part, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaje, stressed that the negative socio-economic impact of malaria makes it imperative for the country to eradicate the disease.
And that the socio-economic impact of malaria, has been said already, is significant. The disease imposes a heavy economic burden on households, the health system, and the national economy. Malaria-related illnesses and deaths lead to lost productivity, absenteeism from work and school, increased healthcare costs, as well as personal costs. This can result in reduced economic growth and development.
Representing President Akufo-Addo, Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiansari, also mentioned government is ready to ensure the full implementation of the new plan.
I take this opportunity, therefore, to assure you of government's commitment in providing the political will and the resources to support the deployment and implementation of the various strategies and elimination activities.
Eradicating malaria has been a long-term vision of Ghana following its commitment to the Abuja Declaration on rolling back malaria in 2000 and the Millennium Development Goals. The plan, when successfully implemented, will ensure that Ghana becomes malaria-free.
Management of the Volta River Authority has extended support to thousands of affected victims of the recent floods that hit communities along the Volta Lake in the Pro East District. The donations, which is the second of its kind, according to the Director of Human Resources at NEDCO, Martin Sulemana, is to alleviate the sufferings of the affected population. And Asabit has more.
The donations, which is the second of its kind, is in line with the recent devastations caused by the rise in the water level of the Volta Lake as a result of weeks of heavy rains. Management of the Volta River Authority, who are extending support to the affected communities in the Pro East Enclave, says the move is to alleviate the sufferings of the flood victims. Martin Sulemana is the Director of Human Resources at the Northern Electricity Distribution Company.
VRA recognizes that as a result of the rise in the water levels of the Volta Lake, some communities have been displaced. Some have lost their homes and farms and so on. And so livelihood has become a challenge to them. In recognition of that, management of the Volta River Authority has decided to come to their aid by giving some items out to them as part of the Volta River Authority's corporate social responsibility.
Mr. Martin Sulemana says the move is also to help cover other affected victims who could not benefit from the first batch of donations made in November last year.
We were here a few months ago to do a similar presentation, but that was to be given to, it was an appeal made by the Member of Parliament for the constituency, and the other responded by giving out those donations. But this particular one is also meant for the people who were not covered in the first instance, and we are here to do that so that with the help of the Assembly and NATMO to get to the right people.
District Chief Executive of Pro East, Alhaji Adams Abdullahi, was thankful to the Volta River Authority for the donations, but was quick to appeal to other well-wishers to support the district's quest to relocate the affected communities to a much higher ground to avert future occurrences.
Indeed, life cannot be the same as it used to be with my people who have been affected by this flooding. It's very clear. So for the VRA to come to our aid in this regard, I think it is more than a welcoming news, to say the least. So we are grateful to what they have done. So this will go a long way to sort of mitigate the suffering of my people who are indeed affected. Yes, but we are also appealing to the well-wishers who are looking at us at this time to also come to our aid with this roofing materials, because we are going to resettle these people.
Deputy District Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, Mavis Ayure, says the affected communities are willing to relocate but have no suitable place to go to. She therefore appealed for more aid to help provide relief to the people.
What I will tell companies, individuals, and NGOs that should know that people are suffering. And if they are able to help, it will go a long way. Their money, whatever they will support, it will not go in vain. They should help the people. They are in need. They should help.
The items provided includes 300 bags of rice, 60 bags of sugar, 120 packs of mackerel, 180 liters of oil, amongst others. Anna Sabit, Joy News, Yeji.
We're still live on Joy News today. We're coming to you from our studios in Kokomlemle. Let's take a break. When we return, we have all you need to know in business.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Quak. The Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System Limited, GIBS, has announced a partnership with Visa. The partnership will have GIBS process domestic transactions denominated in Ghana cedis with Visa cards issued in Ghana. Speaking at the signing ceremony in Accra, the CEO of GIBS, Achihesi, admonished customers to capitalize on the opportunities this collaboration provides by reducing the cost of engaging in international business.
Partnership was signed in Accra today as GIBS, Ghana's national payment systems infrastructure provider, announced a collaboration with Visa, the global digital payment giant. Speaking on the sidelines of the signing ceremony, the CEO of GIBS, Achihesi, says this will reduce the cost of international transaction.
The cost will definitely go down because Visa will not need to pay Forex for the transactions. Don't forget that when you transact locally using Visa and MasterCard, you don't use Forex to pay for them. Your bank charges you in what? cedis. Now, if your bank should pay Visa for that service, they pay them using Forex. But this time, the Visa will be paying us for that service. And we are a Ghanaian entity. We would ensure that the cost of the services are at the lowest, are priced appropriately as possible. As you rightly know, you can judge from the prices that we charge for the services that we offer the industry.
Visa's Vice President and Head of West African Cluster, Andrew Waboy, expressed enthusiasm about the partnership's potential to empower local commerce and drive financial inclusion within Ghana.
You know, Visa has we have well over 6 billion cards across the world, and we've built capabilities in over 200 markets. And we all have relatives that live in different parts of the world that want to send money either to us or even to our other family members in more remote parts of our countries. What this partnership can do, or what Visa can do, leveraging the partnership and the technology that we have, is that funds can be pushed from anywhere in the world into a Visa card. And now once those funds get into those Visa cards, those cards that fund can now be used either domestically or it can be used as cross-border.
This collaboration between GIBS and Visa holds immense promise for streamlining domestic financial transactions within Ghana, paving the way for a more vibrant and inclusive economy.
Now, in other news, the Bank of Ghana will embark upon a sizable monetary easing cycle, cutting the policy rate by a cumulative 800 basis points to 22% by the end of the year. That's forecast by Fifth Solutions. This success follows a substantial moderation of headline inflation. Here's more.
Since 2021, the Bank of Ghana has hiked the benchmark policy rate by 1,150 basis points to 30%. This has restricted access to corporate credit. But with inflation easing substantially, the central bank is expected to embark upon policy easing. However, Fitch Solutions said it usually takes about 12 months for interest rate adjustment to affect the real economy due to the lag in monetary transmission mechanisms. As such, the UK-based firm believes that the Bank of Ghana's dovish monetary policy stance is unlikely to result in a sharp increase in real loan growth, which has remained in contractionary territory over January to August last year. Meanwhile, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana would hold its 116th regular meetings from Tuesday, January 23 to Friday, January 26 to review development in the economy.
All right, and that's it for business. The news continues after the break. Let's delve into sports on JN Today with me, Haruna Mubarak. Now, the Ghana Football Association remains confident in the Black Stars' quest to lift the Africa Cup of Nations trophy despite the setback in their opening match. Ghana lost 2-1 to Cape Verde and currently sits bottom of Group B. Speaking on PM Express, the communications director of the FA, Henry Asante Chum, explains why the squad still has the potential to end Ghana's trophy drought.
In first matches and going all the way in competitions, it has happened before, Even in 2005, the last time we got to the final of the AFCON, we lost our first game, yet we were able to make it to the final after beating Algeria in our second game. We beat South Africa, we beat the hosts, Equatorial Guinea, in the semi-finals 3-0, and then we made it to the final. Unfortunately, we lost it to Ivory Coast. So the senior players in the team who have that experience have been sharing it with some of the new players. Remember, Jordan was in that team, Richard Ofori was in that team, Andre Ayew was in that team. And so they've got lots of experience. And anytime there is an opportunity, Daniel Amate as well. So anytime there is an opportunity, they try to share that story with the young lads who, are new to the team and haven't had that experience before. So we are okay. Yes, it is a worry that we didn't play well. It is a worry that our performance was not up to the standard of Ghana. The team chemistry, cohesion, the telepathy, the stamina level have all been questioned. But these are things that are already known to the technical team, and I am sure that between now and Thursday, when we go for our next game against Egypt, they will work on all the flaws in order to give us a good result.
There will be more analysis on everything AFCON at 1 p.m. on this channel. My name is Haruna Warak, and that's how we end the sports segment.
And you're welcome to it. We are ready to give you what is going on in the world of entertainment. The name is Ibrahim Benbako, and you're still on Joy News Today. So, Diana Hamilton has finally launched the 10th edition of the Awake Experience. And this year, there's a little twist to it. Well, I was there at Holiday Inn last night when the launch was done, and it was a beautiful launch with a lot of gospel musicians there. This is actually what happened, and you can find more in this report. The Awake Experience by Diana Hamilton is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year in Kumasi and Accra. And it's going to be an all-women affair in Accra on the 18th of February and all-men affair in Kumasi on the 25th of February. At the launch, this is how some of the patrons have experienced the Awake Experience.
The experience has been awesome all the time. I mean, when you see her minister, and I've been to a couple of the shows at Sakumono, the church, the ICGC church at Sakumono. The experience is just awesome, and I'm just looking forward to another one. I believe that it's going to be even greater at the 10th anniversary of the event, and I'm looking forward to that.
It has been great all the time. It grows each year, and I would say my experience with Awake is always going there and learning something. So that has been it.
I've been on, I think 2-3 times. This will be my third time. I've done Accra, I've done Kumasi, and we're going back to Kumasi. Yeah, and I've seen Diana do it back to back for 10 good years, a decade of experience. And for me, I just want to congratulate her for keeping the fire burning, keeping the work going for 10 good years.
So why will Diana Hamilton have in Accra an all-women affair and in Kumasi an all-men affair?
And listen, no, we didn't plan it, but when we realized we thought we might as well just let it look as though we planned it like that. We didn't plan it, no. So you know when I was saying the strategically thing like that, no, we didn't plan it. But when we realized it was like that, it's like, okay, God must be up to something. He has a sense of humor.
Oh, okay. So it was after you decided on that,
Yeah.
before you got to
we realized that you
Kumasi
know
is
what?
only men.
Accra is only women. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doing of the Lord indeed.
It's the doing of the Lord.
What has been your experience out of this 10-year experience?
That not to limit my God. That when it looks impossible, that's when I know that he's up to something. Like this song, for instance, almost gave up on filming it, blah, de, blah, de, blah. But see what God is doing with it. So yeah, never limits my God.
What should patrons expect on the 10th?
Great.
On the 10th? Both Kumasi and
Accra. Amazing things. Don't limit the God that we serve. If you've been to every experience, you know that every experience is better than the former. And that's what God does.
I don't know why Aisha Ibrahim is being very spiritual in the studio today, but let's move on to our next story. And Akese Brimpong, who is slated for the Diana Hamilton experience in Kumasi on the 25th, says that yes, he has released his album late last year, The Awakening, a 7-track album called The Awakening. He released the side A, but the side B is somewhere latter part of this year. But if his fans are able to give him 1 million streams on every digital platform, he's going to release the B part within a month.
We just released an album, 7-track album called The Awakening. Great songs, Across Anyame, Ejano Watuni, and some other great songs on that album. We'll be doing a media tour and a promotion thingy for that album. There's also the part B of that album. So it's called the Awakening Alpha Edition, and there's the Beta Edition as well. Okay. So we recorded 14 tracks in a live recording, closed circuit recording, and we divided it into 2 albums, 7. So you have the Alpha Edition now on all the streaming platforms: YouTube, Apple Music, Deezer, Boomplay, Spotify, wherever you stream music. Go look for Akese Brimpong, The Awakening Alpha Edition. And the Beta Edition, it will be also dropped sometime within the year. Yeah, sometime within the year. If you give me like 1 million streams on the Alpha Edition within a month, I'll drop the Beta Edition in the next month.
And there you heard it from Akese Brimpong. If you, the fans of Akese Brimpong, are able to give him 1 million streams on all digital platforms, then within a month you are getting the beta part of The Awakening. And that is what wraps it all up for me on Showbiz. On the Joy News today. The name is Ibrahim Benbako. Aisha, have you been to Diana Hamilton's Awake experience before?
I haven't,
Okay,
but I've watched a few of her clips, especially.
No, hold on. Clear your schedule on the 18th. I'll take you to
and experience it.
Yes.
But I love it. I just love Diana Hamilton. And of course, who wouldn't? If you were associated with Becky, you would love Diana Hamilton at all costs. So yes, definitely.
Clear your schedule on the 18th.
Sure, I'll do that. Thank you for bringing us Showbiz, and that'll be it for the bulletin this afternoon. And it's brought to you by the Ibrahims, right?
Yeah, the Ibrahims. Yeah.
Log on to myjoyonline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye from the Ibrahim.
Hello. Yeah, from the Ibrahim.